Welcome back YouTube, Steven here from Team Blur, and today we're going to be talking about Nintendo's new fighting game, ARMS. So E3 is coming to an end, and very interestingly, Nintendo actually held a tournament for their new fighting game, ARMS, at the conference. I'm not gonna lie to you, originally I wasn't gonna make a review for this game. I wasn't even gonna buy it. But after watching enough gameplay footage, I figured, well, why not give it a try? And yes, I know what you might be thinking. Steven, why are you releasing a review for this game so late? Other channels released this like a week ago. Well, I actually don't have the hookup with Nintendo, so I actually had to go to the store and buy it myself, like the peasant I am. So with that being said, let's get right into it, and I'll let you know if I think that Nintendo's new fighting game, ARMS, is worth it. So ARMS is the new 3D fighting game where you punch your way to victory by defeating your opponents. The fights mainly revolve around you trying to guess where your opponent is going to hit, and you try to counter and dodge your way through fights. There aren't a lot of combos here, but the level of mind games you have to play to even get a hit on your opponent is actually quite high. In fact, the learning curve is so high that the first hour I was playing the game, I had no idea what I was doing and just kept getting pounded over and over again. Luckily, the game has 7 different difficulties as well as a training mode that helps you get familiar with each of the different mechanics in the game. One very interesting thing about the game is that it was primarily designed to be played with the Joy-Cons. It takes a little bit of time to get used to, but you actually have a surprising amount of control over your character and how the punches are sent out. You can control whether your punches go straight, diagonal, while moving your character at the same time. You can also use the Nintendo Pro Controller, but I felt that that actually gave you a little bit less control. As far as game modes go, there's a wide variety of different modes to play. The main mode is the Grand Prix mode, which is essentially a glorified arcade mode. In it, you can choose a character and then go through 10 different stages, fighting each of the other characters as well as a boss at the end. In between the matches, there's a commentator that gives you a little background on each of the characters, as well as some insights into the matchups. It's not too bad, but seeing as there isn't a story mode in the game, I wish they would have at least put a bit more detail into these scenes, or at least had a cool voice for the commentator. There are 10 different characters in the game with 4 different colors on each of them, as well as 10 different stages to battle on. The character design in the game is probably one of my favorite aspects of the game. The characters all look very different and have a very nice look to them. Apart from them just looking good, each of the characters have different abilities. For example, Ribbon Girl can jump multiple times, while Master Mummy can heal while he's blocking. There are a lot of ups and downs to the different characters, some of them obviously being better than others. You can also customize the arms on your characters. Each of the characters starts off with 3 default ones, but eventually each arm can be unlocked for each of the characters. Having different arms in the game makes a big difference to the playstyle, so I recommend you try messing around and see which one suits you best. The versus mode allows you to play with a friend or against AI in many different modes. Apart from the 1v1, there's also a 2v2 team mode. The 2v2 team mode is very similar to the standard game, except you get to play with a teammate. There's also a volleyball mode where you're supposed to knock the ball over the net and have it explode on your opponent's side, a basketball mode where you shoot and dunk your opponents into a net by grabbing them, a target practice mode where you and your opponent have to see who can hit more targets over a small period of time, and a 1 vs 100 mode, which is essentially a survival mode where you have to defeat 100 easy enemies as soon as possible. There's a good variety to the game modes, but most of them actually just feel like mini-games, except for the regular fight and team fight modes, and even the team fight feels a little too chaotic at times. There are 2 ways to play online: Party Mode, which is essentially a multiplayer mode where you can have 2 or more players join in randomly and play, and then there's a Ranked Mode where you fight for points to gain rank and fight against people close to your level. I played online for a few hours, and when me and my opponent both had pretty good connections, the fights ran pretty smoothly. I did play against somebody with a bit of lag, and it was kind of hard, as this game is all about timing, and having your opponent's character teleport around made it kind of hard to predict my opponent's movements. Luckily, this wasn't a big deal, as most of the times me and my opponents had pretty good connections. It's really hard for me to say whether this game is actually worth it for you or not, so I'll say this. If you have friends that are gonna buy the game, or you're really into online multiplayer fighting games, then this game is probably for you. However, if you're a single player type of guy who's looking for a lot of story and good offline modes, then this game is probably not for you. That being said, I think the fact that there's a decent amount of characters, good stages, and a good mix of modes makes the game feel like a pretty good package overall. It's very close, but I think overall, ARMS is probably worth it. So, what did you guys think of ARMS? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like our channel, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps us grow our channel. This was Steven from Team Blur, and I'll see you next time.